Let me tell you a story about a book that did the unthinkable. It became a global phenomenon by telling you to stop trying so hard. It sold over 20 million copies worldwide. It was translated into more than 65 languages. It spent years on the New York Times bestseller list. And it did all of this with a title that you can't even say on most television networks. The book is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a FCK. And its author, Mark Manson, did something that the entire self-help industry had been terrified to do. He looked at the culture of relentless positivity, the obsession with feeling good all the time, the endless chase for happiness, and he called it what it really is. He called it a lie. And in doing so, he became the voice of a generation that was exhausted by the pressure to be happy. Mark Manson wasn't always a best-selling author. He started his career doing freelance web work and online marketing. He was just a guy with a blog, writing about things that mattered to him. But he had a unique voice. He was brutally honest. He was irreverent. He was the kind of writer who would tell you the hard truth, even if it hurt. And people started listening. Millions of people. Because they were tired of being told to just think positive. They were tired of being told that if they just visualized success hard enough, it would magically appear. They were tired of the toxic positivity that was making them feel worse, not better. Manson's writing was often described as self-help for people who hate self-help. It was a no BS brand of life advice that struck a chord with people around the globe. And the core of his message is surprisingly simple. It's not about not caring about anything. It's about caring about the right things. Here is the fundamental problem that Manson identifies. We live in a culture that tells us we should be happy all the time. We are bombarded with messages that say, if you're not happy, there's something wrong with you. You need to buy this product. You need to take this course. You need to change your mindset. And this creates a vicious cycle. You feel bad about feeling bad. You get anxious about being anxious. You get depressed about being depressed. Manson calls this the feedback loop from hell. It's when your negative emotions feed on themselves, creating a downward spiral that is almost impossible to escape. You worry about your worry. You stress about your stress. And the more you try to fight it, the worse it gets. The conventional self-help advice, the advice that tells you to visualize success and think about the type of person you want to be, only reinforces the idea that you are not that thing. It reminds you of your failure. It reminds you of your inadequacy. It makes you feel worse. So, what is the solution? The solution is to stop trying so hard to feel good. The solution is to accept that life is inherently difficult, that suffering is not a bug in the system, it is a feature. Manson argues that happiness is not a problem to be solved. Happiness is a problem to be experienced. The key to a good life is not giving a fuck about more things. It's giving a fuck about less things. Giving a fuck about only what is true and immediate and important. It's about choosing your values wisely. We only have so much emotional bandwidth, so we should focus on values that genuinely bring us fulfillment rather than on superficial goals, like money or fame. You have to decide what you are willing to struggle for, because we all struggle. The question is not whether you will struggle. The question is what you will struggle for. Think about that for a moment. We all have problems. We all have pain. We all have suffering. That is the human condition. But the quality of your life is not determined by the problems you have. It is determined by the problems you choose to have. If you choose to care about things that are superficial, things that are outside your control, things that don't align with your deepest values, you will have superficial problems. You will be constantly anxious about what other people think of you. You will be constantly stressed about keeping up with the Joneses. You will be constantly disappointed because the world doesn't give you what you think you deserve. But if you choose to care about things that are meaningful, things that are within your control, things that align with who you truly want to be, you will have meaningful problems. You will struggle with your craft. You will struggle with your relationships. You will struggle with your personal growth. And those struggles, those problems, will give your life a sense of purpose. This is the subtle art. It's not about being indifferent. Indifferent people are afraid of the world and the repercussions of their own choices, which is why they don't make any meaningful choices. It's about being comfortable with being different. It's about having the courage to say, "This matters to me, and that doesn't." It's about setting boundaries for your own emotional energy. It's about realizing that you are not responsible for everyone else's feelings. You are not responsible for fixing the world's problems. You are responsible for yourself, for your own values, and for your own actions. To not give a fuck is to stare down life's most terrifying and difficult challenges and still take action. It's not about running away. It's about showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when you feel like shit. Manson also introduces a crucial idea about responsibility. He says that we are responsible for everything that happens in our lives, even if we are not to blame for it. This is a profound distinction. You are not to blame for your genetics. You are not to blame for your upbringing. You are not to blame for the traumatic events that may have happened to you. But you are responsible for how you respond to them. You are responsible for the choices you make going forward. Blame is about the past. Responsibility is about the future. You can spend your entire life blaming your parents, your boss, the economy, the government, or whoever else for your problems. And you will be absolutely right. It might not be your fault, but it is still your problem. And nobody else is going to solve it for you. Taking responsibility is the first step toward taking control. And then there is the concept of the do something principle. Manson argues that action precedes motivation, not the other way around. We often think that we need to feel motivated before we can take action. We wait for the inspiration to strike. We wait for the perfect moment. But that's backwards. Motivation often follows action. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling anxious, the worst thing you can do is sit around and wait to feel better. You have to do something, anything. Take a small step, make a tiny change. The action itself will create the momentum. The action itself will generate the motivation. You can't think your way out of a problem. You have to act your way out of it. This is why the book has resonated so deeply with millennials and Gen Z. This is a generation that has been told they can be anything they want to be. They have been told they are special. They have been told that if they just follow their passion, everything will work out. And they have been crushed under the weight of that expectation. They have been paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. They have been anxious about not living up to their potential. Manson comes along and says, "Relax, you're not that special, and that's okay." He says, "You are going to die." And that is not a tragedy, it is a liberation. When you accept your own mortality, when you accept your own limitations, when you accept that you are just a tiny speck in a vast universe, you are freed from the need to be perfect. You are freed from the need to impress anyone. You can just focus on what matters to you, right now, in this moment. The book is a counterintuitive approach to living a good life. It rejects the idea that you can avoid problems. It rejects the idea that you should be happy all the time. It embraces the reality that life is hard, and that the only way to find meaning is to embrace that hardness. It's a much-needed slap in the face. It's a wake-up call. It's a permission slip to stop caring about the things that don't matter and to start caring deeply about the things that do. It's about choosing your suffering wisely, because we all suffer. The only choice we have is what we suffer for. So I ask you, what are you giving a fuck about? Are you giving a fuck about what people think of you? Are you giving a fuck about your social media likes? Are you giving a fuck about the news cycle? Are you giving a fuck about things you cannot control? Or are you giving a fuck about your health? Are you giving a fuck about your relationships? Are you giving a fuck about your craft? Are you giving a fuck about becoming a better person? The subtle art is not about apathy. It is about focus. It is about prioritization. It is about taking your limited emotional energy and investing it in the things that truly deserve it. You have one life. You have a limited amount of time. You have a limited amount of energy. You cannot care about everything. You cannot fix every problem. You cannot please every person. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start living a life that is actually worth living. A life that is not defined by the absence of problems, but by the presence of meaning. A life that is not defined by how you feel, but by what you do. A life that is not defined by the pursuit of happiness, but by the embrace of struggle. That is the subtle art. That is the secret. And it is available to you right now, in this very moment. All you have to do is decide what you give a fuck about. And then, give a fuck about it with everything you have.